What's going on, everybody? I wanted to do a little post today and go into things like judicial misconduct and kind of how to hold a judge in check, kind of a judge that's showing that they're impartial or biased. Now, some of the things, we go into court, and I want to talk about my fragrance today, which is Judicial Neo Fire, always a classic fragrance. Um, some of these fragrances, man, don't be trying to wear my fragrance. No, it's fine. But I want to talk about judicial misconduct because a lot of times people are afraid to go into court. Um, and to be honest, a lot of times what fear is on the side of fear, I did a video talking about fear is basically just your fear of the unknown. Um, a lot of times when you're dealing with court, you have to understand that there are certain levels of conduct that the judiciary and other agents of the court have to follow. So when you go into court, just because a person wears a robe doesn't mean that they can abridge your rights. Okay. So any of these misconducts can be cause to ask a judge to remove himself from a case, meaning a judge yelling at you, raising their voice, showing any sign of being impartial towards the other party, and not giving you a fair trial. Any of that can be seen as a reason to request a judge to remove itself. Okay, so let's get into what judicial misconduct is, because before you try to allege something or try to peti- uh, petition the court or try to petition a judge and request that they remove themselves due to their bias in impartial nature, um, you have to understand what misconduct is. So, a lot of times where we're making allegations, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You have to have some fact behind the allegations that you're alleging. Just because it sounds like something that, correlates with your spirit or correlates with what you believe, doesn't always make it true. So, failure to perform duties in impartiality and diligently. So failure to perform the duties impartially and diligently. Okay. So now we know that a judge is supposed to perform his or her duties and very impartially and diligently. So if you're going into a court on a traffic ticket and the judge seems like he's siding with the prosecutor or she's siding with the prosecutor, then you know that that is not a failure to perform their duties or to act impartially. Okay, this goes for all courts. This goes for foreclosure. So just because a judge rules in a favor that you don't like doesn't mean that they're being impartial. Please look these words up, look these phrases up, look it up in your state law, and then you can look up what is the definition to find this, because this is almost in every state law. Okay, failure to recuse based on upon a conflict of interest. So if a judge works for the state and the state was suing me, how is the state going to bring a case when the judges have a conflict of interest? Very interesting, right? For some of the people who don't believe, they think I'm telling you laws and stuff to lead you down the way. I'm really not. I'm telling you just the truth. Just cut out all this bullshit that you're hearing on the internet and just focus on the true stuff. And your remedies, your knowledge, your everything will get. People are telling you to authenticate your birth certificate, that your cars are through a UCC one. No, none of this stuff is true. But it's on the internet, so it's hard to combat misinformation. I mean, just like they say, a lie will travel the world 3 times before the truth even enough time to put its shoes on. So if the judge is rude, abusive, now you have to look at the context of what is rude and abusive under the definition. Okay, so you can go look at this because it's defined in the Supreme Court Rule 60. Okay, so this should pretty much be almost every court has something of some form of this. Okay, rude, abusive, or otherwise improper treatment of parties, including counsel, witness, jurors, or court staff. So if you witness a judge being rude on a court staff or to witnesses or jurors, you can say, you're out of there. Expressions of bias based on gender, ethnicity, or etc. Maybe a judge is a bar associate and the attorney is a bar associate. You kind of get what I'm saying? Expressions of bias based on gender, ethnicity, etc. So why wouldn't the bar flies want to, commingle? Judicial misconduct does not include making finding of fact, reaching a legal conclusion, or applying the law as the judge understands it. Claims of judicial error must be addressed through the appellate process. See, they're already telling you. That's what I try to tell you guys. When you start reading and start studying this, then the answers will easily come to you. It's not like this is rocket science. It's not. It's just about understanding what your rights are and when you have to make a claim or, when your rights are being abridged. So so disability involves the physical and mental inability to perform judicial duties and functions. So, which judicial officials are subject to the judicial jurisdiction of the commission? The commission has jurisdiction over claims against the state and local judiciary officials in the judicial branch, including circuit court judges, courts of appeal judges, Supreme Court justices, court commissioners, and municipal court judges. So, when you're going into the court, you have to understand that these are not courts. All right. When you're walking into your county courts, these are United States courts. Okay. You have a county court, which is a United States court, because you have to remember that all the states did what? They incorporated themselves. So what they did is they incorporated themselves into the union. So when you're going into a county court, what you think is a state court, meaning it is not a state court, it may be an agency of a state, but it's not an actual state court. So the reason why I found that out is because I went down, I started looking at my receipts when I started requesting documents and saying, hey, how come this doesn't say state of Wisconsin on it? How come this is not going to Madison? Madison is the capital of Wisconsin. Why is it not going there? Why is it going to Indianapolis? See, I started chasing the money. That's when I started finding out, oh, this court this ain't even a state court. So look, when you start understanding these things and you get to this actually works on the federal level too. So this doesn't have to be a long video, but it's kind of a video to show you that, like when you're frustrated and you're searching for stuff or you're going through something, don't panic. Sometimes take a little moment, breathe, and sit back and relax. Because if you're going through something where a judge does you wrong, you still have the ability to appeal that or you have the ability to challenge that. Just because a judgment is entered against you by a judge who may be biased or may not be. Now, you have to understand one thing too about bias or so-called biased judges. Sometimes judges are not biased. Sometimes judges are just not putting up with your BS. Okay, when it comes down to a lot of people going into court, sometimes people waste the judge's time. They start bringing up stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the complaint, start bringing up stuff that has nothing to do with their court case, nothing to do with facts, nothing to do with anything. And they go into court and they make these arguments, and it wastes the judge's time. And they're trying to push the docket just like anybody else going to work. I mean, just imagine if you were sitting in Burger King or McDonald's complaining about your order for an hour. Imagine how the employees would take you. They'd be like, man, get this person the hell out of my drive-through line. They might even call the police on you, right? So we have to understand that these codes are for both the states and the United States. So, Code of Conduct of the United States. The Code of Conduct for the United States judges include the ethical canons that apply to federal judges and provide guidance on their performance, okay, of official duties and engagement in a variety of outside activities. So, like, when some of you guys are wanting to know, like, if you're going to court, you want to know how to keep the judge in check also. Now, you have to understand the judge is not suing you. Okay. So, a lot of these times when people are going to court, asking the judge jurisdictional questions, those are questions that should not be asked to the judge. Jurisdiction should not be asked to the judge. Jurisdiction is supposed to be asked to the party who filed the lawsuit. and they're supposed to prove the court has jurisdiction, not the judge. Remember, the judge is supposed to be impartial, and if the judge is acts partial in any way, then he needs to recuse himself, and you need to bring it up. That's why you have to pay attention of what's going on in court, because if you don't pay attention, then what's going to happen is you're going to go ahead and you're going to allow them to enter in a bunch of void orders, and you're going to have to challenge each one of the void orders, which is going to waste your time. And that's really what they're trying to do, just get it, finalize the case. They don't care how it's done. A judge should, okay, so now you can go through this form, and these are only 20 pages. So that means if you have a lawsuit, if you don't have enough time to read 20 pages, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. This is going right over the conduct for, so you want to make sure you bookmark some of these things and look them up before you go into court. You want to know how to hold the court. You want to learn how to hold the court. I mean, the judge liable, because remember, if you remember the video that I did where I was talking about, what was it called? Their assumed authority. And I go in that video and I break down how a court order and a judge order is separate. And the reason why I read that case law is to show you that the judges are not absolved from liability. So a lot of times people think that they hear qualified immunity and they think that the judges has qualified immunity. Yes, in the disposition of a case and in the performance of their job, they have qualified immunity. If they step out of their canons, they step out of the statutory law or the law of the state, then they're liable for every action that they do. It just depends on how you bring it up. Okay, so now we know that this is on a state and federal level. Now let's go to the American Bar Association so we can kind of see the canons of a judge. And I know people always, oh, the bar, man, I don't care where the information comes from. I don't care about the messenger. I just care about the message. A bum or a homeless person can tell me how to beat somebody in court, and I'll take that just like a great lawyer that won 150 cases. If that homeless person knows more than that lawyer, I'm listening to him. So a lot of times people look at the image of the truth and they don't, they're not looking at, they're looking at the package the truth comes in, not the fact that it's the truth. So these are the canons that a judge is bound by. Now, I know there's more canons. Obviously, I know there's way more canons, but these are just the minimal. You see what I'm saying? These will get you by. Instead of you trying to learn everything, just learn what you need to do to get a court case through and to win. Okay. I know that this is just about judicial misconduct, but there's a lot of little legal tidbits and little things I want to kind of give you. And this is not legal, but man, I don't care about that. I stand on everything I say. So I don't care if somebody, doesn't stand on what they say, but I'm stand on what I say. So that's why I don't give any disclosures prior to my speaking, because I stand on what I say. So now we're going to go to these 4 canons, and this will show you, because it's pretty much going to be the same thing. That's why the first thing I showed you had 4 things on it. So the canon number 1, a judge shall, not may, shall. In law, we know shall is mandatory, right? Uphold and promote the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary, and should avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety. Okay, look, this is one of the biggest reasons why I was doing all those right to travel or the right to travel. This is the number one reason, because you don't even need to bring that argument up. It's already solidified in law. That's why I was trying to tell you, just stick to the facts of your case. And if you stick to the facts of your case, you'll actually be helping other people out. If you still keep arguing this argument about the right to travel, you're not helping anybody out, because it's already determined. So yeah, but see, it's not stopping the action that is causing this. So you have to stop the action that is causing it. It's just like if you have some type of sickness, like if you have some type of certain sicknesses that are rooted in inflammation, then you have to figure out what's causing the inflammation and then get rid of that or change your diet. That's pretty much what it is. So look, A judge shall perform the duties of the judicial office impartially, competently. You might heard that word competent because most people on here do not bring up competence, and diligently. Three, a judge. Now remember, there are more canons. I'm not going to go through all the canons on here because I want to keep this video kind of short. A judge shall conduct the judge's personal and extrajudicial activities to minimize the risk of conflict with obligations of the judicial office. Okay, so they have to worry about their conduct and minimizing any type of conflict that they have with the judicial office. So they can't just be up there. They're not a rogue. You know, nobody's gonna give somebody that much power without restricting them. That's why I try to tell you guys there has never been in history, there has never been in history an organic takeover of government. Never. Never. It will never happen. That's why you can watch the news and see how fake the news is, see how everything is orchestrated. See now the people who are who are paying the money for those California smash and grabs are now being found out. Why? I told you that years ago. That all when you see crime like that, it's orchestrated. So look, a judge or candidate for a judicial office shall not engage in political or campaign activity that is inconsistent with the independence, integrity, or impartiality of the judiciary. All right. So now, if you go to trial, go to court, you just want to read. You see what I'm saying? The problem with a lot of you guys is you get sued instead of being the person that's suing. So by the time you go to court, you're defending instead of being the person that sued, the person who you have enough proof did you wrong or did provide the consideration or they're trying to enforce an unconscionable contract. So remember, all of these videos that I'm showing, everything from rescissions, etc., these are just options. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just giving you your options so you know that they're there. I'm not trying to force anybody into any direction. The key is to understand your options. So you have to understand in debt, there's only a few stances you can take in debt. Okay. And these are the active stances. The active stances in debt is you can either accept it or decline it or deny it. Now you hear all these people talk about honor and dishonor. Okay. You have to look that up. Honor and dishonor and understand in a commercial world where honor and dishonor lies. A lot of people tell you that declining a debt or turning a debt down or saying you don't owe it when you actually don't owe the debt, people are saying that this is actually dishonor. No, doing nothing is dishonor. Coming in and challenging the debt, the debt is it may be wrong. You see what I'm saying? It might actually be wrong. So, but you wanna actually use factual things. You know, you don't want to just make up uh like arguments. 18.8 USC, HJR 192 says blah blah blah. I see a lot of people doing that. Don't do that. Make sure you read your agreements and then you bring a factual claim. And when you bring a factual claim, you will see that the changes will happen. Okay. Our legal system is based on the principle that an independent, fair, and competent judiciary will interpret and apply the laws that govern us. Okay, so that's why I always brought up competency. You see what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of times people don't understand why we bringing stuff up. It's because I read this stuff. I don't read that. I don't read case law. I'm sitting here reading case law all day. Come on, man, that's a waste of time. The role of the judiciary is central to American concepts of the justice and the rule of law. Intrinsic to all provisions of this code are the precepts that judges individually and collectively must respect and honor the judicial office as a public trust and strive to enhance and maintain confidence in our legal system. The judge is an arbiter of facts and law for the resolution of disputes and highly visible symbol of the government under the rule of law. Why? Because it's probably the highest level of government you really gonna get to. Meaning on a day-to-day basis, you could walk into a courtroom and talk to a judge. You can't really walk in and talk to your governor. You got to make an appointment. You know what I'm saying? Even to talk to a judge, you really got to make an appointment because you got to be put on the docket. All right. So once you read this, you'll know. So the rule of the code of judicial conduct are authoritative. The commentary has three varying functions. One, to elaborate a standard in the rules. Two, to set forth policies based for the rules. Three, by explanation and example, to provide guidance with respect to the purpose and meaning of the rules. The commentary is not intended as a statement of additional rules. See, when you see how these people write their stuff, this is how you have to write your stuff. Like when you're sending letters to the banks and the financial institutions and all of this stuff, sometimes you got to go on the internet and just look for a template that kind of specifies or kind of sings to who you are or what you're really trying to break a claim of. Another thing also, if you guys are trying to, like look for remedies, make sure you know how to state what you're trying to do. Meaning you should be able to explain it very well. Because if you don't, you're never going to know what you're seeking. Everybody wants to sit there and say, I want to get this for free. I want to get a car for free. I want to get a house for free. Okay, what work are you willing to put in? Because something's either going to cost you free, it's either going to cost you time or money. Okay, the rules of the Code of Judiciary are authoritative. Okay, I already read that. Okay. When the text of rules uses shall not, or may not, it is intended to impose binding obligations, the violation of which can result in a disciplinary action. For judges' conduct to constitute a violation of the rule, a judge must have known or reasonably should have known the facts giving rise to the violation. The use of should or should not in the rules is intended to encourage or discourage specific conduct and as a statement of what is or is not appropriate conduct, but not as binding rule under which the judge may be disciplined. When may is used, it denotes permissibility, discretion, or dependability, depending on the context. It refers to an action that is not covered in the specific prescriptions. All right. The provision of the code of the judiciary conduct are rules of the reason. They should be applied consistent with the constitutional requirements, statutes, or other court rules and decisional law, and in context of all relevant circumstances. The code is not to be construed so as to not impinge on the essential independence of judges making judicial decisions. So now you understand why I was trying to say a lot of times when people go into court and they start challenging the jurisdiction of the court, and then they challenge it with that same judge, the judge can't help you because it's a jurisdictional challenge. So if there's a jurisdictional challenge, you need to request a hearing or you need to request the case is dismissed. You know what I'm saying? That's all you should be requesting. You should not be going into court talking about where did you derive your authority from? Where did you no. If I'm challenging jurisdiction, then I'm not arguing nothing. You see what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of times people don't understand these things because you have to understand how courts get jurisdiction. So some people, think that a court gets jurisdiction by filing a motion. Then they go into Black's law and they say, "Oh yeah, it says right here, court gets jurisdiction for filing a motion." But what if the motion is for a motion is due to a court lacking subject matter jurisdiction? So you have to understand a motion in a court is mainly for two reasons: either to stop an action or to start an action. So that should be your intention when you're writing a motion. Some people, I don't write an affidavit because a motion, dude, they gonna take you can write an affidavit and they gonna take it as a motion. You see what I'm saying? You can reclassify it and change it later if you want to. But it's not that really important to me. I don't care if I get a court jurisdiction or not. I just want to make sure that the court does what they need to be doing. So a lot of times people get frustrated when I'm talking about these right to travel videos, etc. But for a lot of you guys, where I'm saying stuff, it's not really crazy. It's not out of the realm of anything. It's all you can find. So if you're going to go to court, you want to make sure that you know how to keep the judge doing his job. So you need to know the clerk's job, you need to know the judge's job, and then you need to know the officer's job. So if you're there on that, on a traffic ticket or a matter of that matter, then you need to know what do they need to incarcerate me, or what do they need to prosecute me. And then when you start looking at it, you'll start breaking down their case left and right. Oh, y'all don't got this. Y'all don't have that. This is what you were supposed to have by law. And woo, woo. That's how you learn the law. You learn the law situational based. It doesn't matter for you to read all these damn case laws in regards to some dumb stuff. I done read Hendrick versus Maryland like 50 million times, and not one person has ever requested that has read that case. These are the same people that try to say, "Oh, this makes sure that you have to have a driver's." No, it doesn't. But anywho, learn where the other players are supposed to be on the board, and do not let them move out of their place. If you need more of a understanding, know everybody's role, and when they step out of that role, you better hold them accountable. And with that said, I hope everybody has had a great day. And I want to thank everybody. I was working on my credit course. It was supposed to be done by the second. I apologize. I just found out new credit information that just blew my mind. And that's the problem with my credit course. That's the reason why it's been coming out on some Dr. Dre detox stuff. People have been waiting for the credit course for almost 4 years. Not 4 years, I'm sorry. This ain't even been open that long. Probably about 2 or 3 years. So it's coming. It's coming. I just found out some new information on that credit stuff. It's bananas. Bananas. So a lot of times my updates, I haven't updated the 3.4 or the 4.1 yet. I need to stop telling people I'm gonna do it and just do it. Because I don't want people like, what date? Man, I don't know what is gonna happen in my life or what is gonna change me from doing it. So I think I might have to expand and start hiring some more people so it's not just all on me. But with that being said, I appreciate everybody who watches. We're on the road to, it seems like we're going on the road to 5,000 viewers or followers. And I want to thank you guys, for supporting. And hopefully we can get it up to 6,000. Let's go 6 for the month of June. So my goal is to have 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month of June. And with that being said, thank you all, because this channel will be nothing without you viewing it. Have a great one.